Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys are having a great weekend. Thank you so much for joining here. So we're going to get into a couple of things. We're going to take a look at Hot 8 news from yesterday, along with Argo and Marathon providing production updates for October. We'll look at those numbers, my spreadsheets. Then we'll also take a look at Bitcoin versus Bitcoin miners this past week, see how they performed against each other. And then lastly, we'll take a look at institutions. So supposedly smart money, getting into the Bitcoin miners here over the last 6 months. We'll see if shares increase. We'll take a look at percentage of shares increasing, other things as well, not huddle, but analyst estimates for the miners. Have those increased or decreased over those last 6 months? Okay. So as always, you guys know the drill here. This is not financial advice for entertainment only. Please do your own research. I'm invested in the following coins and companies for full disclosure. And if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. So let's get into right now Hut 8. So Hut 8 receives court approval for a staking horse bid for the 4 natural gas power plants and the North Bay Bitcoin mine. This was part of their Validus. Validus was suing Hut 8, then Hut 8 was suing Validus. And then Validus, I think, is actually going out of business. So there's some potential here for them to possibly get those 4 plants along with the North Bay Bitcoin mine site, which I think is part of that deal there. But we'll just take a quick look at the details here. And Hut 8 today announced that the Ontario Superior Court of Justice commercial list has approved a staking horse bid as part of the previously announced support agreement with Macquarie Equipment Financing Ltd. So they announced this, a couple months back. I think that they were part of this, that they're going to be buying out the assets of Validus. Okay. Down here we get to some more news here. So if the staking horse bid is ultimately declared, the successful bid in the SISP as further approved by the court and completed in accordance with its terms, a new Ontario subsidiary of the company, Bidco, will become the owner of the assets of certain Validus entities. So Macquarie will receive a minority equity interest in Bidco of approximately 20%, and a subsidiary of Hut 8 will be the majority owner with the remaining approximately 80%. On completion of the staking horse bid in accordance with the SISP, Bidco would acquire free and clear of any encumbrances, excluding certain permitted encumbrances, 4 natural gas power plants located in Ontario. That would be a 40 megawatt facility in Capucini, 110 megawatt facility in Kingston, 120 megawatt facility in Iroquois Falls, and a 40 megawatt facility and Bitcoin mine in North Bay. Okay, so North Bay is part of that as well. So that would be great. These power plants, these are natural gas power plants. These are usually called peaker plants. They're usually spun up in high demand times when the other plants can't basically generate enough electricity during those peak hours or peak times. These peaker plants get basically turned on at that point, and that's how they are able to supply the needed electricity to the surrounding areas. Okay, so most of the time they stay idle, and then except for when they're actually needed here. So continuing on here, if our bid to acquire the 4 natural gas facilities in Ontario totaling 310 megawatts from our Validus is successful, we anticipate that the strategic addition of these assets would position Hut 8 as a vertically integrated mining operation, allow us to utilize idle infrastructure and machinery, and provide access to energy pricing certainty, which is all true. So this is actually a really good thing that they're doing here. They don't provide any cost as far as what that cost could be. You got 4 plants there. Definitely not going to be inexpensive, so I don't know what the cost is going to be. I'm not even going to guess on what that's going to be. But that is looking like they possibly could win the bid sometime in Q4 of 2023, and then depending on how long the process takes to actually purchase those, it might not be until like the second half or maybe the end of the first half of the year of 2024 when they do get these up and running for them. And then obviously it takes time to get miners installed there and everything else. But nonetheless, I think this is good news. This is something that they needed to do in a long time, and it was just obviously good for Validus being going out of business or bankruptcy, whatever they're in right now. So this is good for them. We'll see how this goes forward. Okay. So that's it for that one. Let me know what you guys thought of that. And then Argo. So Argo Blockchain PLC announces October operational update. And here's what we have for them. Pretty simple for them. Not much going on here. Company mined 143 Bitcoin or Bitcoin equivalents. That could be from also getting some credits from the electricity. Most of the stuff that they mine with is at, Helios facility, I think. The one that... who bought that? Galaxy Digital bought that from them, and they're basically a hosting provider to Argo right now. At least the majority of their stuff is there. That's all we have here. Let me see here. That's pretty much it. Let's take a look at the numbers I have for them, and then we'll get into Marathon as well. So Argo Blockchain, as of yesterday, had 53 million shares outstanding, market Our starting price was $1.20. Market cap at 64 million. They've done all right here in the last 12 weeks. They're up 13% from 12 weeks ago, 11% from 8 weeks ago, and up 16% from 4 weeks ago. Last week, which was just this week, past week, they were up 1.69% on that. You can see that their BTC hodl has been coming down here. They have only 21 Bitcoin right now, so they've been selling more than they've been mining here recently to pay costs. So that is a growing concern for them. Going forward, you can see month-over-month Bitcoin production. They did increase that October. Month-over-month BTC production. Oh, that's HODL. Okay, so it's BTC production. BTC production is here. They did increase that a little bit to 143, and that's mainly because they were operating more days in the month than prior months. So that's good there. They at least bumped that up a little bit here. BTC per exahash efficiency. That has also increased as they're running more during the month, which helps them out. BTC sold, you can see here that they sold 154 and they generated only 143. Same thing in September, they sold 153. They only generated 136. And then some of the other months here, they were pretty close. They sold more here, 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 sold less, sold more here, and obviously sold a lot more here. So they've been definitely selling more than what they are actually generating. So that's a concern. Okay. Hash rate right now is at 2.8. They're pretty much fully installed here for the most part. Bitcoin mining revenue here has increased over the last 3 months, or 2 months at least. It's at 4.2 million. So that's good there. Monthly hash rate difference, you can see that they installed only in July, August, and September. And they were pretty much flat throughout, pretty much for the year. Since last, we'd have to go back to the data to look at last year's numbers. But going back to October of last year, they were at 2.5 and they were pretty much stuck there for quite a while. BTC sold value, you can see how much they're selling here on that one. Quarterly results, we look at that when they provide the quarterly numbers, which I don't know if we're going to get those this time around, if they're going to do the end of the year numbers, which I think they report normally every 6 months, so biannually. Let's take a look at the institutions here. Institutions did increase a little bit here to 25. Shares also increased just slightly, like 3,000 shares, something like that. It's still 1.21%. We do have still this 1 strong buy rating, 1 buy rating, 3 hold ratings, 1 underperform rating, and 0 sell ratings. Price target actually went down on the high to 250 from 275. Average stayed the same, and the low actually went down to $1 here on that one. Now, as far as how many days they were operating in October, based on my numbers here, it looks like they were operating for about 24 days out of the month, which had 31. Last month or in September, they were at 21 days, so only 2/3 of the month roughly operating. So this is definitely a good increase here for that. That's why they generated more Bitcoin, even though they haven't increased their hash rate. So that's good there. Based on the numbers that we do see here, my numbers here, looking at the last 3 quarters, which is going to be Q2. No, actually, it's going to be Q3, Q2, and Q1. Q3 is estimated right now because we don't have the results yet. And then we're using the current quarter numbers that we're in, which is Q4. We have them at basically $2.21 to $3.32. They're currently at $1.20. I do think that they're currently undervalued. And if we look into the future, using the October numbers for revenue, multiplying that times the 5 months before the halving event, and then the 7 months after the halving event at 50%, we got $1.68 to $2.52. So still slightly undervalued for those numbers, right? But if Bitcoin goes up or continues to go up, those numbers are obviously going to change here. And then as well these here on the quarterly part of things, once we get past Q4 and then into Q1 of next year. All right, so that's kind of where we're standing on that one. What can I say about them? They've been in a tough spot here ever since last year. They had to sell off business, sell off facilities. They had to move things around, try to get out of debt, and they've suffered because of it. They haven't grown much. As you can see here on the chart, they were pretty much stuck at 2.5 exahash for way too many months here, for almost a year, I think, which didn't help them out at all. And we'll take a look at their numbers as far as what their, let's see here, what their assets are and what their liabilities are when they do, if they report Q3 numbers here. But right now they're at 13.54 assets at the end of Q2 and 27 million in liabilities at the end of that period as well. So that's concerning there. They do have, obviously, they could dilute shares to grow more that way. They might have to do that. They'll have to figure something out here, obviously. All right, let me know what you guys think about them. And let's take a look at Marathon here. So Marathon Digital Holdings announces Bitcoin production and mining operation updates for October 2023. Management commentary. In October, we increased our energized hash rate 1% to 19.2 exahash. They were at 19.1. As the facility in Garden City, Texas, where we have 4.1 exahash of miners installed, began to come online, said Fred Thiel, Marathon's chairman and CEO. Once this facility is fully operational later this month, we will have surpassed our 23 exahash target and solidify Marathon as the largest publicly traded Bitcoin miner in North America, which is true. And then during the month here, they produced 1,202 Bitcoin in October. This total includes the 18 Bitcoin from our 20% share in the joint venture in Abu Dhabi, which now has 2.3 exahash. So they're including that in that. We will not include that number in our spreadsheet here. We include the only self-mined because the joint venture numbers are not provided. We're not included in the revenue side of things. They're included as assets on the balance sheet. Okay, so Bitcoin produced here, US only, was 1,184. Energized hash rate, 19.2 is what we have them at. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. They're actually providing a lot of great data here, and they're actually, what's what I'm looking for here? Oh, gosh, I'm drawing a blank here. They're pulling out the data for each facility, which is great to see which ones are operating at what, and that's actually really good here. Also, financials information is being provided here, so that's also good there. A lot of good information here, so love seeing that, which also helps us and the investors see what's actually going on from month to month, which is great. All right, let's take a look at Marathon here, and then we'll get into the other things as well. So Marathon right now, Marathon has 205 million shares outstanding. Excuse me. Stock price is at $9.41. Market cap is about 1.9 billion right now. So it's pretty close to, I think, where Riot is. So they're kind of going back and forth between each other as far as which one has the higher market cap. Their performance here over the last 12 weeks is kind of mixed. So they're down 16% from 12 weeks ago, down 4% from 8 weeks ago. They're up 22% from 4 weeks ago, and then up 6.21% on this week. So it's kind of mixed, half and half. Half is bad, half is good. Okay. BTC production here. Well, currently they're at 19. That should be updated here. Why isn't that updated? Let's see, where's that? That's there. That should have been updated here. It didn't update. Okay. Let's figure that out right now before I forget about it. So that is pulling it from, let's see, where's that pulling it from? Okay. Oh, I didn't put, okay. That's easy fix. Sorry. Forgot to do this when I was doing this. I need to include those two calendar months in here as well. All right, so now that should be fixed. 19.2, there we go. Future hash rate, 24.6. Based on the numbers that I have for them, they're saying 23, which is probably what they're going to get to. Mine might be a little high. I might have some miners in there that were removed previously. Let's see here. What else do we have here? BTC produced 1,184. That has come down from the 1,232. Which still wasn't their best month here. The best month was in May. Obviously, in May, we had the transaction fees having a huge impact on the miners as far as what they generated. That obviously came down in the following months here, and we're seeing that is continuing to go down. So once they do get installed with the 4 exahash possibly, that's definitely going to start bumping their production up again until such time when the network hash rate continues to go up. So network hash rate goes up, their production is going to go down unless they're actually growing. Okay. Month over month difference, you can take a look at that. So they mined 48 less Bitcoin here in the month of October compared to September. Bitcoin HODL also went down a little bit here. They do have, I think they reported here. Let's go back to it. I want to make sure I provide this in here. So pledged BTC holdings, these are pledged for something. Here it is. Reported Bitcoin holdings exclude 571 Bitcoin that have been pledged as collateral in a hedge transaction. So hedge transaction, not sure what they're doing there. It could be that they're basically buying Bitcoin or futures or something like that, maybe. Not sure what's going on there, but I've taken that out of their HODL here. Okay, so that's why you saw a decrease here from where we were in September, plus they sold some, which we'll get into as well. BTC per exahash efficiency, 61.66, so kind of in line where things should be. Some miners are going to be a little bit higher than that, and it's all based on the number of days that they were mining during the month. BTC sold, I have them at 1,514. This includes the actual number that they sold this month, which was, let me see here if they reported it. Total Bitcoin holdings, unrestricted Bitcoin. I don't think they reported here, but they did sell some Bitcoin here to, maybe they did report, I'm just missing it here. But they reported selling some Bitcoin to fund operations, obviously. Okay, hash rate has been growing consistently here since the end of, beginning of last year, or end of last year actually, because they were down to like 700 petahash in August, and they had a huge jump in September, October, and December kind of stayed flat. January, an increase, and then we've seen a consistent increase here as things got plugged in, energized. So that's been great. The revenue here looks like it's at 35 million for the month of October. It's their second best month here in the last couple months. 35.38 was actually in July. Surprisingly enough, it wasn't May. May was 34.24 million. Hash rate difference, how much they're installing each month here. And you can see they've been installing like crazy, getting things energized over the past year, which is great. Definitely a lot better performance than what they had in 2022. BTC sold value, you can see how much they sold. Part of this 44.8 million is that BTC that's used as collateral. Okay. Quarterly results, we'll take a look at those. Obviously, when they report on those. Institutions and analysts here did increase a little bit here to 336. Shares increased a little bit here by about 1 million shares to 77.3 million compared to 76.3. Percentage owned by institutions now 34.64. We still have 1 strong buy rating, 2 buy ratings, 5 hold ratings, and now we have 1 underperform rating. And price target is at 20 for the high. Average came down to 13.3, and the low came down to $5, and they're at $9.41 right now. So during the month here in October, we had the miners were up for a rating for approximately 29.2 days, which is really good here. That's why their efficiency has come up, and it's good to see that. Obviously, as we get into the colder months, they should be able to operate more of the month than in the past, where you can see here in August they were at 24 days. In July, they were at 26 days. So that should help them going forward into the winter months until we get back into the spring and summer months. Well, they're going to probably curtail a little bit more. Okay. So that got us to the 35.037 million here for revenue based on the the average Bitcoin price for October. And then looking at my numbers here using the last 3 quarters, which was obviously Q3, which is estimated, Q2 and Q1. We're also using the current quarter, which is estimated right now for those numbers. And I have them at $16.71 to $25.06. They're at $9.41, definitely undervalued right now. If you go forward into the next 12 months using the October numbers for revenue, multiplying it by the 5 months before the halving event, and then 7 months after the halving event at 50%, that gets us to $14.51 to $21.76. Right? So I think they're definitely undervalued right now. And if Bitcoin continues to go up, they will definitely perform much better going forward. Price targets at that point will increase because the revenues are going to increase as well. So that's kind of where we have them right now. We'll take a look at the numbers here, maybe at the end of this year, to see where they could possibly be with the bull run, Bitcoin reaching 100, 150,000, maybe 200,000 like that. We'll see where they could possibly be at that point, okay? Overall, they've done a great job this year growing. Their hash rate, their Bitcoin mined, everything else. They do have one of the more expensive operations as far as most of the machines are hosted. I think all the machines are hosted actually, so they're actually paying a little bit more than somebody else that has their own facilities. On top of that, because somebody has to manage those machines and everything else. But overall, they're still the top one as far as production is concerned. We'll have to see how the profit margins are actually for them compared to like Riot and CleanSpark and others as well, TerraWolf, some of the other ones that are in the same sphere, okay? So let me know what you guys think of them, and we'll see how things progress going forward for them. Next, let's take a look at the weekly Bitcoin versus Bitcoin miners. So as always on this chart, we take a look at how far the miners are up from their 52-week lows and how far away they are from their 52-week highs. So we can still see Core here as the top one, has done the best here this year within the last 52 weeks. Cypher is in second spot, DigiHost and BitDigital are actually surprisingly in pretty close to the third spot here. They're battling for that. Then you got Riot, Iris, Argo, Bitforms, Marathon, Hot 8, DMG, CleanSpark, Hive have done better than Bitcoin. Bitcoin's only up 122%. And it's only 3.3% away from its 52-week high here. So we're pretty close to that one. And you can see the miners, for the most part, are still way, way, way off from where they were in price from 52 weeks ago, or at least the highs were at that point. TerraWolf has done obviously worse than Bitcoin, Sphere, 3D, Mawson, and BitDeer. And then when we look at the actual numbers here for this past week, we can see here that Bitcoin right now is up 2.43% on the week. And I do that Friday to Friday. Then we have the miners as well because they're trading Monday to Friday, so we do it on Fridays. Sphere is up the most this past week. They're up 89%, surprisingly. They've been beaten down a lot, so that might be a reason for it, why it's been bouncing a little bit. People picking up some way discounted miners. Cypher's up 23%, Riot's up 19%, Hive is up 13%, BitDigital's up 12%, Hut is up 11%, DMG 10, Iris 10, DigiHost almost 9%, CleanSpark up 7%, Bitfarms up 6%, Marathon up 6%, Core up well, almost 6%, 5.8, along with BitDeer, 5.56. TeraWolf is up 2.68, and then we have Argo only up 1.69, and Mawson 1.47 on this week. If we look at the 4-week chart here on this as well, we can see here that from 4 weeks ago, Bitcoin is actually up 29.3%. DigiHost has done better. Core, Hut 8, DMG Sphere, and Cypher have done better in the last 4 weeks than that. Ones that have done worse than Bitcoin is CleanSpark, Riot, Bitfarms, Marathon, Hive, Argo, BitDigital, Iris, TeraWolf, Moss, and BitDeer is down 11% from 4 weeks ago. So it seems like the smaller guys, except for maybe Cypher here, have done really good here. Some of the ones that have been beaten down more are maybe picking up a little bit better here in the recent couple weeks. Looking at 8 weeks ago, take a look at that as well. You can see here that BitDeer is down the most, followed by TeraWolf, Iris, Mawson, and Marathon. Bitfarms is basically break even. CleanSpark is down, or actually up just slightly, 0.68. BitDigital 1.75. Core, where's Bitcoin? Bitcoin's up actually 30.53%. So everybody to the right of this has done worse than Bitcoin. The guys to the left of this have done better. So you got Cypher, Sphere 3D, and DigiHost in the 8 weeks. And then looking at the 12 weeks chart, really quick here, we can see that where's Bitcoin? Bitcoin is actually the best one here out of the bunch here. So that's obviously surprising. They're up. Bitcoin's up 33%. Cypher is down below it just a little bit here, 30%. Sphere as well, around 30%. And you got Argo at 13, DMG at almost 8, Riot at almost 3, DigiHost at 1.5 roughly, and Core at 1.4. And then you got all these guys that are actually still down from 12 weeks ago, with BitDeer being the worst, followed by TeraWolf, Mawson, Iris, Marathon, CleanSpark, Bitfarms, Hive, BitDigital as well. So some of the bigger ones are actually down more than some of the smaller players here, where they're actually bouncing a little bit more. So these guys obviously have some room to catch up here, I think. But we'll see, okay? When we look at the chart here, we're starting to see a heck of a lot more green here on the time frames, which is nice to see. And then when we look at the actual weekly performance for all of these guys here, we're starting to see more of the green weeks here. At least we're having 3 weeks in a row, whereas in the past we had a kind of mixed bag of 12 to 13 weeks where we had basically like 9 weeks out of that being in the red. So it's been a tough, you could say, transition from end of summer into early fall for the miners here. They were decimated here by 50%, 60% of them, so it wasn't a great time for them. And Bitcoin too, but Bitcoin's starting to rally here, and we'll see if the miners will actually start catching up a little bit, or if they're going to continue to go down in price before the halving event, as we've seen in the last halving cycle as well. So we'll keep an eye on that one as well. Okay, so that's it for that one. Finally, institutions here. Just thought we would take a look at it, see how things are comparing for all the miners here. So I pulled in all the data that we have from all the miners on the institutions for going back the last 6 months here, just to see which ones are getting more institutions getting added to the company's shares being bought, percentage of shares being bought, things like that, ownership percentage being changed. And then we'll look at also the strong buy ratings, hold ratings, underperform, sell ratings as well, and then the price targets here really quick. On the chart here, we'll take a look at these 3 charts just quickly here, and I think I may have this a little too big. I may have to make this a little bit smaller here. Let's see here. There we go. Okay, so we got that one. We'll make this one a little bit smaller too. And the last one here as well. And we'll be good. Okay, there we go. All right, so 6 months institutional change. So have the institutions been buying in or selling? We can see Argo got 4 more institutions. BitDigital, for some reason, has gotten 64 institutions. So they've definitely seen a nice rise in that. BitDeer's had only 3 more institutions added. Bitfarms 11, Cypher 23, CleanSpark 44 institutions. Core actually lost 76 institutions here over the last 6 months. DigiHost up 4, DMG down 1, Hive up 4, Hut 8, 21 more institutions. Iris 26 more institutions. Marathon 14, Mawson flat at 0, Riot at 17 institutions added. Then you got Sphere and Stronghold being both down 6 institutions over the last 6 months, and then TeraWolf is up 12. So obviously the best ones here as far as where supposedly the smart money is going into is BitDigital, CleanSpark, any ones that are like 20, something like that. Those are the ones that you want to keep an eye on, see where things go from there. And then when we look at the 6-month percentage change, so percentage change, that's in ownership, right, of the companies here. We've seen Argo just up barely here, BitDigital up being 13% increase in the percentage owned by institutions, BitDeer with 8.48%. Bitfarms actually down a little bit here, so it could be that they're possibly diluting, I'm guessing, a little bit here. That could be the reason for it, because we've seen obviously the number of institutions increase, but maybe that other ones have sold out. It could be also the reason for it. Because if we see here, actually shares actually increased how much they have. So it could be dilution, a little bit dilution there. Cypher, 2.25%. CleanSpark up 4.85% more. Core is down 8.35%. DigiHost is up barely. DMG is actually down. Hive up barely. Hut 8 is up 6.62% increase in the institution's ownership. Iris Energy at almost 6%. Marathon 1.4%. Mawson 7.26%, which is surprising. Riot, Mawson I think did a reverse split, if I'm not mistaken here. That might be the reason why. Sphere was down. Stronghold was up barely. TeraWolf at 3%. And then the 6-month shares change. How many shares were added by institutions? So we got Argo with 211,000 more shares being added by institutions. BitDigital 12.8 million. Excuse me. Bitfarms at 5.3 million. Excuse me. Bitfarms 4.4, Cypher at 5.7 million, CleanSpark 20.1 million. Core was actually down here. Some shares. DigiHost was down. Core was down 30 million. So I tracked them in millions here. So that's down 30 million. DigiHost was down to up 210,000. DMG was down 30,000. Hive was up 590,000. Hut 8 was up 14.7 million. Iris at 5.8 million. Marathon up 21.7 million here. Riot 7.9 million. Sphere down 726,000. Stronghold up only 89,000. TeraWolf up 7.87 million. So we see that obviously here again with BitDigital being up quite a bit here. CleanSpark as well, along with Marathon being up over 20 million shares being bought up by institutions. Then you got Hut 8. Hut 8 could be the reason because they're going through that merger with USBTC. Institutions might be looking for some good catalysts there going forward. And then we got, who else we have here that's pretty good here? Riot, obviously, in TeraWolf. Iris as well, being above 5 point something, along with Cypher, Bitfarms, and BitDeer. So that's kind of where you're seeing the money go into some of these miners here right now. Be interesting to see actually how much money was flowing into these guys here. Obviously, with Marathon being higher priced, it's definitely more money going into them compared to like CleanSpark, which is only about half the value right now, stock price wise. Okay. Now when we look at the actual changes here, we can see here some of the changes that we saw. Argo got one more underperform rating. BitDigital got 2 more buy ratings. BitDeer has 1 more buy rating. Bitfarms 1 more buy rating. Cypher 2 more strong buy ratings, 1 hold rating added in over the last 6 months. CleanSpark 1 buy rating here. Then we got Core with 0. DigiHost with 0. Nothing changed. DMG 0 change there. Hive 0 change there. Hut 8 actually had 1 decrease in the buy rating. Iris had an increase in the buy rating and 1 decrease in the hold rating. Excuse me. Marathon got actually 2 added to hold rating and 1 added to underperform. Mawson got 1 added to hold rating. Riot actually had 1 removed from the hold rating. And then I also have here Sphere got 0. Stronghold 0 changes here. TeraWolf 1 strong buy rated added to them, along with 2 buy ratings here. Okay. Then when we look at the price targets on these guys, Argo actually decreased on the 6 months here, down 50% from their targets previously, from 6 months ago, basically. 6 months average went up just slightly, 0.2 cents. 6 months low average here is at, or 20 cents increase basically on that one. BitDigital 150, 113, and 90. BitDeer 920, 770 increase, 620. And you guys can kind of go through all this list here on at your leisure. I'm not going to go through all of these. This is going to take too a while, but you can obviously see where the analysts are looking for the miners to be, whether they're downgrading them as far as pricing is concerned or actually increasing their price targets going forward. Okay. So that is it. Let me know what you guys think about all this stuff. As always, this stuff is going to be available to my Patreon members, but we're trying to track other things here as well, trying to find other data that we could find useful, trying to find patterns, see how things go. But this is obviously going to be available to my Patreon members. That's still $5 a month. Still much better than a $5 price coffee that you pay once, drink it, and you're done with it. This stuff you get updates on it pretty much a couple times a week when I do the updates on this. We also have a special Discord channel that's private to us. We communicate in there, a lot of great stuff happening in there as well. So appreciate if you guys would join there, get all the data that I have, and that way you guys are informed as I am. Okay, so that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. As always, we'll see what happens tomorrow. We've done a lot of the topics that I would normally do on Sunday today, just so I could have a Sunday off to watch football. But yeah, that's it. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. And until then, bye.